So, what really happens when a government tries to silence its people? When it decides that the digital world where we all live, work, and connect is suddenly a threat that just has to be shut down.
It's a question we've seen play out through history, right? But in Nepal, back in September of 2025, the answer came. And it came fast and with absolutely devastating force.
It all kicked off with a ban, a total, complete digital shutdown.
But here's the thing. Instead of getting silence, the government got pure chaos. The streets just exploded with a generation that absolutely refused to be muted.
And that chaos? It ignited a full-blown revolution, a firestorm so intense it brought an entire government to its knees in less than 2 days. So, let's break down exactly how it all went down.
All right, so what was the spark that really lit this fuse? The very first domino to fall in this just unbelievable chain of events was a massive digital shutdown.
Yeah, the government just blocked 26 of the world's biggest platforms. We're talking Facebook, X, YouTube, the whole shebang. The official story was that these companies hadn't registered under some new, super strict laws, the kind that demand local offices and policing so-called harmful content. But let's be real. For a country where a whopping 80% of all internet traffic is on social media, this wasn't just some new rule. This was like flipping the main switch and turning off the entire power grid.
But look, a ban, even a huge one, doesn't just topple a government on its own. The truth is, that shutdown was just the spark. The real fuel for this fire? Well, that was a mountain of anger that had been simmering for years.
First off, you had a whole generation staring at a dead end. A staggering 20% youth unemployment rate. Opportunities were practically non-existent, and the frustration was just boiling over.
And that frustration was just poured gasoline on by this incredible inequality. Think about it. The average person in Nepal was making just $1,400 a year. Meanwhile, the political elite, they were living in a completely different universe.
And where did all this anger get focused? You guessed it, social media. There was this viral trend, the Nepo kid trend, that basically just put the lavish lifestyles of politicians' kids on full blast. We're talking luxury vacations, designer everything, all flaunted online. And for young Nepalese who were just trying to scrape by, it was this constant, infuriating reminder of what looked a lot like deep-rooted corruption.
So, can you see what happened? When the government tried to shut down the exact platforms where all this anger was being vented, it just backfired spectacularly. All that resentment that had been bubbling under the surface, it finally crystallized into one single powerful demand: topple this government. And from there, things just escalated. What started out as a protest against a digital ban morphed almost overnight into a full-blown uprising, and it all happened with just frightening speed.
Okay, check this out. On September 8th, a protest that was supposed to be peaceful turns deadly. Security forces open fire. The very next day, the Prime Minister resigns and flees the country. Government buildings, even the parliament, are literally on fire. By the 10th, the army is patrolling the streets, but guess what? The revolution had already gone back online.
And we're not just talking about a protest here. This was a societal collapse. The human cost was absolutely immense. We're talking 51 people killed, more than 1,300 injured, and in the middle of all that chaos, prisons were stormed, and over 13,000 inmates were just released onto the streets. So, picture this. The government is gone, the country is in chaos, and a new center of power starts to emerge from the most unlikely place you can imagine. And the best part? They did it using the very tools the old government tried so desperately to ban.
It's just an incredible turn of events. A banned app, Discord of all things, became the new unofficial parliament. More than 145,000 Nepalis from inside the country and all over the world jumped onto a server to debate, nominate, and actually vote on who their new leader should be.
And who did they choose? A woman named Sushila Karki. Now she's a total powerhouse. Nepal's first female chief justice, famous for her tough-as-nails anti-corruption stance. She wasn't picked in some smoky back room. Nope, she was chosen through online polls, and she even confirmed publicly that she was ready to lead. This was like a brand new form of digital democracy, literally rising from the ashes of the old government.
But with any huge shakeup like this, there's always another side to the story. A counter-narrative started bubbling up, one that began to question just how organic this whole Gen Z revolution really was.
So, was this really just a spontaneous uprising?
Or were there other forces at play here, maybe pulling some strings from behind the scenes?
Well, one pretty in-depth analysis claims this was actually a carefully orchestrated political coup. It points a finger at the main protest organizing group, Hami Nepal, alleging it had links to foreign-funded NGOs and even had financial backers with their own history of corruption charges. This same analysis draws parallels to things like the color revolutions and the Arab Spring, suggesting this might have been a U.S. effort to install a friendly government to counter a pro-China prime minister. It's a really complex and, let's say, charged perspective, but it definitely adds another layer to this whole story.
But look, whatever its true origins were, what went down in Nepal serves as a massive warning to the whole world. It really highlights this much bigger global trend of governments trying to control the digital lives of their own citizens.
Yeah, what happened in Nepal is basically a textbook example of what experts call digital authoritarianism. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's this growing trend of governments using technology not to empower people, but to repress, to surveil, and to control them. As one outlet, techpolicy.press, put it so perfectly, the Nepalese government attempted to control the information ecosystem and lost control of the state itself. I mean, it's the ultimate irony, right? By trying to block people's voices online, they ended up creating a revolution that was so much louder offline.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. I mean, let's face it, we all live huge parts of our lives on these platforms. It's how we connect, how we learn, how we organize. So what if they were suddenly just gone? If your government banned your favorite platform, would you fight back? It's a question that, honestly, more and more of us might have to answer sooner than we think.